fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. There's a feeling inside, so deep and so wide, so open and free. When the truth is revealed, all beings are healed, so naturally. Today we're learning Heart's Mystery by Nick Barber. He also goes by Doof as his artist name. He's currently a trance DJ and producer, but he has a really fantastic album, a few great medicine music albums with some just really well-known, really beautiful, simple and pure songs. Angel Heart is one of them, and the song that we're learning today, Heart's Mystery, is another one. I want to thank Dylan, one of my private students, for suggesting this song and asking to learn it. So it turned into a great lesson. I've really enjoyed getting to know the song. Thank you very much, Dylan. And I wanted to also just say hi to a few brothers and friends I've met recently. Yossi, Elia, fantastic sharing space with you guys. I really appreciate the kind words. And hope you're doing well out there. Looking forward to the next one. So let's get into the lesson and learn this song. I have my capo on the 3rd fret. This is also where Nick Barber plays it in his recordings, which I'll link down below in the description just as a reference, his Spotify and his YouTube, so you can check him out. Check out his Bandcamp as well. There's some really cool stuff on there. And I really like this song because it's using just 3 very familiar chords that you're familiar with from all the other medicine music songs that we play. It's a very pretty right-hand finger picking pattern, which is also, I think, very approachable, even for a beginner guitar player. And this song has such a simple, beautiful melody that Nick also layers into the guitar while he sings it. So I just think it's a great way to approach learning familiar chords, getting your hands used to a fairly familiar and common right-hand finger picking pattern that's also approachable, and also starting to layer in some melody into your playing. So we're going to break this lesson into 3 different parts. We're going to go over the chords, then we're going to go over the right-hand finger picking pattern without the melody included, so you can just sing along and play with your right hand. And then we're also going to layer in the melody at the end of the lesson. If you're following along, I have sheet music and tabs available. They're on my Patreon. I'll link that below as well, so you can head over there and pick those up if you'd like to follow along with the music. Otherwise, we'll just cover this video and you should have everything that you need right there. So we're using 3 chords in this song. The first is A minor, which really takes up all 5 strings. We're not playing the 6th low string, but we're starting on the 5th string. And you can play the 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, all of those strings. That's your A minor chord. And then we go to a G chord. And you can play a G chord many different ways. In this song, how I would encourage you is all you have to do is put your 3rd finger on the G note, which is the 6th string, 3rd fret. And when you're playing the chord this way, you're only going to play the 6th string, the 4th string, the 3rd string, and the 2nd string. So I use my thumb and then my 1st finger on the 4th, 2nd finger on the 3rd string, 3rd finger on the 2nd string. And I pull them all off like this. So we have A minor to G. And that's the first section of the song, just going back and forth in between those 2 chords. Then we're going to switch over to C, which is a bit of a brighter sound, very closely related to A minor, but we're kind of picking and uplifting up in this section of the song. And we're going to go from our C, which is 5th string, 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string. You could also play the highest string, but I'm not playing that in this song. Nick really doesn't go to that high E string or the low 6th string. He stays from the 5th string to the 2nd string, right inside of here. So he goes from a C to a G. So a C to a G. So I'll just sing along as I just strum through these chords to show you where the words are going to fit and how these chords affect the harmony and the sound of the song. So we start with A minor. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. Repeat. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. Now we shift up to our C. There's a feeling inside, so deep and so wide, so open and free. Repeat. When the truth is revealed, all beings are healed, so naturally. And you just take those progressions and that cadence and repeat. And then he has a few different verses. We stay the same with the A minor to the G verses, but then he does change the C to the G verses. So those are the three chords. I'm not going to go too much further into those chord shapes, but I will say what I'm learning is the best technique. You want to get your palm and your knuckles of your palm as close to the bottom of the guitar as possible. If you're really doing it well, they're touching. Like when I'm playing right now, the lower part of my hand is touching the guitar. And this gives me plenty of room to arch my fingers so that I'm not blocking or obstructing any strings or getting any of those plucky sounds. My thumb, in this case, can come on over. That's okay, because we are meeting it with our palm on the guitar and we still have plenty of space. I have plenty of other video lessons on technique. I'll link those down below as well if that's something that you're looking to learn. But for now, let's just go into the right hand finger picking pattern. We're just going to use 3 fingers here. We're going to use letters to describe each finger. So our thumb is P, our index finger is I, and our middle finger is M. P, I, M. And our thumb, our P, is going to stay mostly on this 5th string. Our index finger is always going to stay on the 4th string, and our middle finger is always going to stay on the 3rd string. These 2 fingers are not going to move. They're glued to these 2 strings. Your thumb is only going to shift from the 5th string to the 6th string when we play our G chord because we have this G note in the bass. So let's just start it with the A minor, and we'll go very slowly. It goes P, I, M, I, M, I. Thumb, index, middle, index, middle, index. You want to just stay here and play this very slowly. Make sure there's nice even space between each note, and they're all ringing through nice and clear. You want to go painfully slowly. You're going to have to test your patience in the beginning. But once that feels comfortable, you can start to speed up. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. So the only thing that changes when we switch to our G chord is we're shifting our thumb from the 5th string down to the 6th. And our index and middle fingers are staying on the same strings, doing the exact same thing. So with your G, it goes thumb, I, M, I, M, I. Thumb, index, middle, index, middle, index. Go very slowly from A minor to G. And as you get more comfortable with this, what you want to do is emphasize your thumb and the bass note. You want that to ring out more loudly than your index and your middle finger. With this type of pattern, I call the index and the middle finger your runners, and they're running in the background, providing a nice soft bed of music underneath the bass and eventually the melody that's going to stand out. So you don't want these two fingers to be ringing very loudly. They're quiet and subtle in the background. So listen as I play it, you should be able to hear the bass a lot more loudly than my index and middle fingers. Right? When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. Now we switch to our C chord. To G. Back to C. To G. I'll just sing along. There's a feeling inside, so deep and so wide, so open and free. When the truth is revealed, all beings are healed, so naturally. And then it goes back, right back to your A minor. So that's the basic right hand finger picking pattern. You're gonna see variations like this throughout so many different medicine music songs, so it's worth getting comfortable with this and practicing, just really letting this sink in so that you can naturally just go with your thumb on the bass and your two runners just running away underneath. So my favorite part of the song is when we introduce the melody. It's this melody and the way he plays it on guitar that to me make it so simple and beautiful and just a pure song. Because the melody is very simple, many of the notes are parts of the chords, and they just are written in a way that one chord just walks gently right into the next chord. So let's just focus on the melody and isolate it. Generally, when you're playing this, you're going to keep your chord shape down, but just to show you the different notes that we're playing so we can really focus on them, I'm going to lift my chord up and I'm just going to show you each individual note. And I encourage that you learn the melody first and where it is, because you don't want to get lost in the rest of the finger picking pattern. The melody is supposed to stand out. You want to learn it as its own thing and then layer it back into the right hand pattern that you're playing. So the melody is when you let go of fear. That's so third string, second fret, play it again. Then first fret, second string, lift up second string, second finger back on second fret, third string, and then open. When you let go of fear. Then into our G, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. Then we move into the melody for the second section over your C chord and your G. So we go, there's a feeling inside, so deep and so wide, so open and free. So without singing, really pretty. So focus on the melody. That's two different things to practice and break them up into chunks. First work on your right hand pattern, then focus on the melody, And now we're going to put the melody together with the right hand pattern. I'll just play an example of it, show you what it sounds like, and then you're going to see how we're going to change the pattern just slightly to accommodate for the melody, and I'll show you which fingers are playing the melody. So we're going to start with our thumb and our middle finger. We're going to keep this A minor chord shape down and all the chord shapes down as much as possible because we don't want to lift our fingers up and get lost. And most of the notes are in the chord shape, or you can just alter the chord shape. Like we'll lift up our first finger at some point for the A minor chord. So start with your 5th string and 3rd string with middle finger on the 3rd string and thumb on the bass. And we're going to just start the runners. And there we're going to start layering in the melody. And with any melody on the 2nd string, we're going to be putting our 3rd finger down. And that's the finger that's always going to be playing this 2nd string melody. You're always going to be playing the melody when it's on the G string with your middle finger. And there's never a melody note with your index finger. That's always the subtle runner in the background. But again, you're going to keep your 3 fingers, your ring finger on the 2nd string, middle finger on the 3rd string, and your index finger on the 4th string. And that's going to keep it cleaner and a little bit easier to keep track of where everything is. Otherwise, you can get lost. So I'll just play it very slowly. I'm actually not going to go finger by finger in this lesson because it can get a little too long and I think gets a little confusing. But I do have the sheet music and the tabs with each finger spelled out with the note, so it's going to tell you exactly which fingers with your right hand to use. So if that's helpful, the link is down below and you can pick that up. Otherwise, I will play this very, very slowly so you can see how I'm using my ring finger on this 2nd string, and I'm plucking it a little more loudly than I am the other fingers because I really want it to stand out from the harmony and from the rest of the pattern. So very, very slowly. There, it's a nice little transition he does. The pattern does change when we're going from our G to our C, and we're going to just do a nice run up. Thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index. It's an arpeggio, this is called. And what that does is it adds this B at the top, which leads right to our C. Hear that resolution? Always running in the background. Now, whenever you are playing a melody note, that's going to substitute for one of your runners. So you're never going to play your runner, your I and M. So let's go back to our C and I'll show you. So in that case, we're just alternating between our ring finger on the second string and our first finger on the fourth string. Just one last thing before we go, little tip. A lot of beginners play their G chord like this with their, we're almost done, buddy, we're almost done. With their middle finger on this third fret as your G, and that's going to kind of limit your ability, especially in this song. We need our first finger here and our pinky here for our melody notes as we're playing our G. So that's where we're just going to use our third finger on the low sixth string here. See? You couldn't do that if you were playing. Then you're moving. You don't want to move. You want as little movement as you possibly can. This is challenging enough as it is. So you want to put your fingers in a way where you're moving them as little as possible, and all the notes are accessible for you. So in this case with your G, you want to start getting used to playing your G chord like this. So that's the lesson. This is Heart's Mystery by Nick Barber. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Devin. This is Daya. He's been a very good boy this whole time, so it's time to bring him out for a walk. I have many other video lessons, both on YouTube and on my Patreon. I really love learning medicine music songs, playing them, and sharing them. So if you have any requests, recommendations, let me know. You can write them in the comments. You can reach out to me directly, and I'd be happy to add it to the very long list that I have. So thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.